Well, I thought I knew what I was doing. The boss asked me to add caustic soda to a degreasing bath. The water was warm, not even hot. So I thought, no worries, no risk here. So I just poured it all in one hit. I didn't know you had to add it slowly, or else you'd get a chemical reaction. All of a sudden, the whole thing went ballistic. I got burnt all over my hands, arms, and face. Spent 3 weeks in hospital, probably scarred for life.
Well, I reckon that young workers definitely do need extra training initially before they even get out into the workforce.
Everyone has the right to a safe workplace, for sure.
Look, you've got to have the right information about safety in the workplace.
I believe you should always point out to a fellow worker if they're doing something wrong or unsafe.
Yes, there should be a safety and health rep in every workplace, and they should be properly trained.
I reckon young workers should be supervised very closely, because safety is something doesn't come naturally.
It is often said, as long as you've got your health, you've got everything you need. But sometimes working for a living poses risks to your health and safety. The workplace can be a harmful environment. Every year in Western Australia, approximately 30,000 workers are injured and around 20 are killed by work-related accidents.
In Western Australia, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, developed by government, employers and unions, protects workers with a range of safety and health laws. These laws aim to make workplaces safer, eliminate fatalities, prevent injuries and diseases, and encourage cooperation and consultation on occupational safety matters between employers and employees.
This video will introduce you to some of the most important things you need to know about your safety and health at work and your rights and responsibilities as an employee. Please take note of what's being said, as one day it may keep you out of harm's way.
I was stacking boxes, same as I did every other day before closing time. The rung of the ladder seemed to crack. I lost my balance and I just fell really hard. The pain was unbelievable. I fractured my pelvis, permanently damaged my hip. It always hurts now when I walk, so I spend a lot of time just sitting. One small hazard and my whole life is off balance.
Staying safe and healthy at work means understanding and dealing with hazards. So what is a hazard? Basically, it's anything which may cause injury or harm to a person. Some hazards are part and parcel of the work you do, like some mechanical equipment, excessive noise, or toxic chemicals. Other hazards are caused by the failure or misuse of equipment or machinery, the failure of control or power systems, structural failures, or chemical spills. Some common hazards are falls, including falling objects or people falling from height, slips and trips. Electricity, electrical current or lightning. Manual handling, overexertion or repetitive movement. Machinery and equipment, being hit, hitting objects, being caught in or between machinery or equipment. Hazardous substances such as acids, hydrocarbons and asbestos. Extremes of temperature, radiation like microwaves, lasers, ultraviolet light, or welding arc flashes. Excessive noise, biological agents such as bacteria and viruses, psychological stress such as intimidation, violence, conflict, or time pressure. It's important to be able to identify hazards and to work with your employer to control them. There are 3 simple steps to making sure your workplace is safe and healthy. They're based on the belief that the workplace should be modified, as far as practicable, to suit people, not the other way round. These 3 steps are: spot the hazard, assess the risk, make the changes. Spot the hazard involves keeping an eye out for things which may cause injury or harm to a person, such as unguarded machinery, electricity, lifting heavy loads, flammable material, heat, unsafe access, chemicals, anything that can harm you.
Assessing the risk means judging the likelihood of a hazard which could harm someone. An important aspect to consider is the extent of training provided so that people can work safely with the hazard. Controlling the risk or making the changes is the most important step. It means controlling or eliminating the hazard to reduce the risk of a person being injured or harmed. You may need to use one or several of the following.
Remove the hazard at the source, eliminating the item or substance. Substitute it with a less hazardous item or substance. Isolate the hazard. Relocate it away from people. Add safeguards, such as safety barriers or exhaust ventilation. Adopt a safer procedure. Consider training and supervision. Finally, if there are still risks, use personal protective clothing or equipment. There are many situations where you can make the changes yourself. For instance, if you see a hazard you can rectify easily and safely, you should make the changes. Here, the electrical cables are an obvious hazard. It doesn't take much to pick them up and put them safely on the cable stand. But sometimes it isn't possible for you to take direct action. Here, the leakage from the drums is too hazardous to be dealt with directly. In these situations, report the hazard to your employer immediately. Your employer will then assess the risk and make the appropriate changes before an accident occurs. These 3 steps will help you stay on a safe and healthy path in your workplace. Remember to apply them to any new machines, processes or chemicals which might be introduced into your job. In addition to the 3-step principle, there are many safety and health resources available to you. Material safety data sheets, or MSDSs, are essential to help you keep up to date with the hazardous substances and materials you may be required to work with. Check with your supervisor about where to find them at your workplace and how to follow the advice. Make sure you refer to the MSDS before you handle any substances you're not familiar with, and to refresh your knowledge of ones you've used before. In and around your workplace, you may see various occupational safety and health signs placed there to warn you of hazards and the precautions you must take. Your employer or supervisor should tell you what these signs mean. You can also access a wide range of safety information on the internet through SafetyLine, WorkSafe Western Australia's online information service. Here you'll also find the complete text of the Occupational Safety and Health Act and regulations and up-to-date supporting information.
Rob, is it? Yep. Right, Rob, you haven't dealt with glass before, so just go in nice and easy. Make sure you...
Controlling the risks in your workplace will require discussion and cooperation with your supervisor. There should be specific policies in place for dealing with occupational safety and health hazards, which will allow you to do your job safely. Ask your employer if you can read them. When other methods of controlling a hazard are not practical or to increase your protection, There may be times when you're required to wear a variety of personal protective equipment. This might range from a pair of safety boots through to airline-fed breathing apparatus. Your employer must provide you with any personal protective equipment you may need, as well as information and training on how to select and use it, the limitations it has, how to maintain and store it, and how to react in case of an emergency while using it. You must wear personal protective equipment when required. Thorough training is essential to protect your safety and health and to do your job properly. Many workplace injuries in Australia happen to inexperienced workers, usually because of inadequate training.
Proper training gives you the information and skills you need to get the job done safely. You must be provided with the necessary training to carry out your work safely before you start work.
Cool. Next.
Your employer must provide training so you're able to identify and report the major hazards at your work, explain and understand the symbols used on occupational safety and health signs at your workplace, understand and follow procedures and work instructions for controlling risks, know how to use and store your personal protective equipment and clothing, follow procedures for reporting and dealing with accidents, incidents, illnesses, fires and emergencies. Know who your occupational safety and health representatives are and how you can contribute to the process of making your workplace safer. A hazard is anything which may cause injury or harm to a person. Material safety data sheets, occupational safety and health signs, and personal protective equipment and training are there to help keep you safe. Use them all. The 3 simple steps to a safe and healthy workplace are: spot the hazard, assess the risk, make the changes. You must be provided with the training necessary to carry out your work safely before you start work.
You got on the paper for 300, 200, you know, because we've seen others in the area.
Well, yeah, I've only had it for about 3 months.
Yeah, but, you know, it was my first day. The boss asked me if I knew how to use an angle grinder. I was a bit nervous, but I didn't want to look stupid, so I said, yeah, sure. I mean, it didn't look like brain surgery. It's going all right too, until I had to change the wheel. I wasn't shown how to change it, and I just didn't think to pull the plug out of the wall. Accidentally flicked the power button. It arced up and sliced 3 fingers off in about half a second.
See you later then. See you later then, yeah.
And Dad used to tell me my future was in my hands. I used to get excited about it. Now, it just scares the heck out of me.
Where your health and safety is concerned, prevention is always better than cure. But incidents and accidents do happen, so you must know how to respond to them. To do that, you need skills and knowledge, and you get them from your employer. Your employer must provide you with information and training about how to report hazards, injuries and incidents and how to respond to emergencies. You must also be given thorough training in the responses you are expected to make in any of these situations. If you or your workmates are injured in an accident, then first aid is crucial. Your employer must supply you with first aid and must show you where they are kept.
They may be in a room set aside specifically for first aid treatment, a number of stations within the workplace, or just a first aid box on a wall. If you're not sure, find out what first aid you have at your workplace and how to get to it in an emergency. There may be a qualified first aider at your workplace. Your employer should advise you if there is.
Your employer must also tell you where the fire extinguishers are located, what types of fire they're best suited for, how to use them, and when to retreat from a fire. If a fire or other emergency does occur, there will be an alarm of some sort.
You must be able to identify the alarm signals so you know what they mean. You must know what to do and where to go in the event of an emergency.
Because every workplace is different, it's essential that you're told about the location of first aiders or first aid items, fire extinguishers and how they're used, and the emergency procedures.
Be prepared for medical or other emergencies before they occur. Pay attention when you're told about the first aid and fire facilities and procedures at your workplace. If you're still not sure, ask for further information.
By now, you realise how important it is for you to have all the necessary information to work safely. The Occupational Safety and Health Act places clearly defined legally binding responsibilities on your employer to provide you with information and training, and to make sure the workplace is safe. The regulations set out more specific safety requirements than the Act. The Act and regulations are supported by codes of practice and guidance notes, which explain how the laws are applied. If you want to read the Act, the regulations or supporting information, just ask your employer. A copy will be provided as soon as practical. Codes of practice are valuable tools to help you do your job safely. They contain very useful information about a good way to get the job done. The Act sets out general duties which describe the responsibilities everyone has for their own safety and that of others in workplaces. There are duties for employers and employees, self-employed people and others, such as people who control workplaces, design and construct buildings, or design, manufacture, install and supply equipment or substances used in workplaces. Employers have to provide and maintain workplaces, equipment and systems of work that do not expose employees to hazards at work. They have to provide information, instruction, training and supervision. They must consult and cooperate with employees, provide adequate protective clothing and equipment free of charge where hazards can't be avoided, and ensure safe use, cleaning, maintenance, transportation and disposal of substances and equipment in the workplace. Employees must take reasonable care to protect themselves and others in the workplace. They must cooperate with employers, follow safe work procedures, use protective equipment when required, report any injuries or hazards to their employer, and report anything at the workplace that they think could be hazardous if they can't fix it themselves. Your employer should know what's happening on the job in order to fulfil the duties imposed by the safety and health laws.
Hey, Charlie.
An important link between the employer and the employees is the safety and health representative. This person tells the employer about safety and health concerns of employees and can check the workplace on behalf of employees. The steps to follow to elect a safety and health representative and the functions this important person has are set out in the Act. Find out who your safety and health representative is. Safety and health committees can also be established when requested by the employer or employees. These committees let employees and employers discuss issues which may affect the safety and health of workers. Workers have to feel safe. If you really believe that doing a job would expose you or your workmates to serious or imminent harm, you can refuse to do it. If you do refuse to work, you must notify your employer and safety and health representative immediately. Your employer will most likely provide alternative work for you until the dispute is resolved. Don't take this step lightly, but be confident that if you do need to take it, you have the full support of the law behind you.
Thanks a lot. As long as it's nice and safe and I can do the job safely. Yeah, they can. No worries. Thanks a lot.
Keeping a safe and healthy workplace is a responsibility you and your employer share. The more you get involved in safety and health issues, the more you can help reduce accidents and incidents at your workplace. You have the legal right to occupational safety and health information and training. Refer to the codes of practice and guidance notes relevant to your workplace. Consultation between employers and employees is vital. Find out who your safety and health representatives are. A safety and health committee can be established. You have the right to refuse unsafe work.
Accidents don't just happen to other people, they don't just happen to idiots who do stupid things. They can happen to anybody, anywhere, anytime. We've got to face up to the fact that there are things at work that can hurt us. We've got to be as good at looking after ourselves and our workmates as we are at doing our jobs. We have to make the effort to get all the information we can to protect our safety and health. We have to think safe and work safe.